Have you ever felt like you're faking it and any second now, everyone's going to find out? In fact, the more successful you get, the more you feel like you don't belong. If you've been suffering from low confidence, limiting beliefs, and are just feeling stuck, then you're probably suffering from imposter syndrome. I've spoken on stages in front of thousands, helped launch over 2,000 small businesses across 18 countries, and yet I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Until I realised something that seemed to change everything. It's taken a lifetime to understand this, mindset, confidence, and the voices in my head. Voices in my head? What I'm going to share with you now will really help you achieve anything in your life. So if the weight of imposter syndrome grows heavier despite everything you've accomplished in your life so far, especially if you're a woman in midlife, I'm going to share how you can finally break free from it. Believe me when I say that without imposter syndrome slowing you down, you can literally achieve anything. The world is your oyster, baby. Some of the most confident, successful people you admire feel imposter syndrome too. I'm going to explain why you're going to get it and what you can do to get rid of it. So imposter syndrome isn't proof you don't belong. It's proof that you care. And in fact, you don't need to be perfect to belong. Your flaws are your biggest asset. And by the end of this video, I'm also going to prove that feeling like an imposter actually proves you are the real deal. So it's true that the most confident and successful people you admire on a daily basis feel imposter syndrome all the time. We usually have a super critical voice in our head so that everything we do causes a reaction from within. We might think the inner voice is a friend, but nah, not. You might also think that it's only you that gets that voice. Am I hearing voices in my head? Voices? Are there voices? The only difference between you and them is they've got really good at telling the voice to shut up. Yeah, voices, shut up. Can you not see that I'm busy? So the voices go a little bit like this. I'm not good enough. Who am I to be doing this? What right do I have to be here? I don't deserve it. Other people are really smart, smarter than me. Who do I think I am? Or I'll never be good enough to do a YouTube channel. Look at all these amazing people doing it and doing so well. I've only got 90 subscribers. You get the picture. While you don't always know the source of your inner voice because it comes from your unique story, it always is about 4 things: anxiety, self-doubt, perfectionism, and fear of failure. And what happens when a woman hits midlife? Well, she starts to feel all of these things even more because of biological factors linked to hormone shifts. So we're really up against it even more than men. At times of great change, like what a woman faces in midlife, against the backdrop of societal expectations, shifting identities, hormonal changes, and the pressure to prove our worth all over again, we're up against it even more. I like to think of my voice as anxiety, self-doubt, perfectionism, fear of failure, and it's a bit of a jumble of all of them together. It's just trying to keep me safe. So I turn it into positive self-talk. I try to name my voice, and now I understand why it does what it does and it says what it says. I see it as a child and I forgive it for wanting to do its best for me, but know that it isn't serving me anymore. And I know that it's scared. I've actually started to feel a bit sorry for that child and forgive it for what it's trying to do. Like every bully, I realise why it's grown up to be the way it is. And now I know why it says what it does. I'm not crazy, I promise. You see, when I drop a plate in the kitchen, instead of saying, "Oh, you stupid woman," I just roll my eyes and move on. You see, that inner voice has got a bit of spotlight syndrome. This is when we think we're on stage and everyone's looking at us. In fact, no one cares because they're all thinking about themselves. So if you're struggling with your inner voice, then try to speak to it in the same way that you would speak to a child, with empathy and kindness and as much understanding as you can cope with. You see, most people aren't perfect. So if we try to be perfect, others won't relate to us. They'll feel separate and you might give them imposter syndrome. So it's good to not be perfect. It means people will relate to you. And also it makes you the underdog, and everyone loves an underdog. People get that. They relate to it. They actually really bond with that more than anything else. So let go of the perfectionism and give yourself a break. So when we see someone who's struggling, they have character flaws, but they're trying their best, we can really get behind them. This is why your imposter syndrome, which tells you to be perfect, really isn't serving you. The more you embrace who you really are, the more others will see you completely likable and perfect just the way you are. So celebrate you're just as imperfect as the rest of us. You deserve to be in that room, on that stage, in that video, in the center of attention at that dinner party, like anyone else. The very thing you think disqualifies you, your flaws, are actually what make you relatable, worthy, and definitely in the right place wherever you're meant to be. You are definitely not an imposter. So have you struggled with imposter syndrome? Tell me in the comments your worst experience and maybe what you've figured out that's helped you get over it. And remember that your imperfections don't make you an imposter, they actually make you human. And that's why you belong exactly where you are. So the moment you stop chasing perfection is the moment you'll realize you were enough all along. And the only imposter is the bully in your head. If you don't believe me, then limiting beliefs might be holding you back. And if I've done that video, then it will show up here right now. So have you struggled with imposter syndrome? Tell me in the comments below what you've been going through and if you have any recommendations on how to overcome it.